Yueh, Wellington. Standard year 10,082 to 10,191. Medical doctor of the Suk School. Graduated. Standard year 10,112. Married. Juana Marcus, B'nai Gesserit. Standard year 10,092 to 10,186. Chiefly noted as the betrayer of Duke Leto Atreides. Bibliography, Appendix 7, Imperial Conditioning and Betrayal, From Dictionary of Muad'Dib by the Princess Irulan. Welcome to Reading Dune, a podcast where we read Dune by Frank Herbert and talk about it. If you're a Fremen or a first-time reader, this podcast is for you. My name is Caleb Pauls.
And I'm Evan Diaz.
And together, we're going to read some Dune.
Yeah, we are.
Yes, we are.
But one thing we're not going to do, Caleb, is end the podcast with catch you on the flip side again, because that was awkward. I didn't like that at all.
You're right. I'm slightly embarrassed. And if you're watching on YouTube, about 3 shades redder.
Yeah. He just turned to the same color as the brick wall behind him.
Oh, man.
But maybe we just try out some random outro lines until we find one that sticks.
Yeah, let's try some now.
Yeah.
All right. So 1,
okay.
2, 3.
Bye-bye, baby doll. No, that's terrible.
That's also really bad. How about 1, 2, 3? Dune you later.
Dune you later?
Okay.
I don't want to know.
No, this isn't going anywhere fast.
Let's just get back to the book.
All right, back to the good stuff. So, what did you get from this quote? I feel like this is the log, right, in the dictionary of the Muad'Dib.
Right.
What did you kind of pull from this?
The main thing that I got was that Dr. Yueh is chiefly noted as betrayer of Duke Leto Atreides, which I'm assuming is going to play a huge part because of how the rest of the chapter went. But also, I got this strange notion that if I do a lot of math and figure out all these years, I can know a little bit about what's about to happen. What there are mysteries in these numbers that honestly I don't like math enough to go and do the math and figure all that stuff out. So that's what I got out of the quote.
You're accurate. Yeah, that's accurate, right? Right. It says Juana Marcus, BG, which is B'nai Gesserit. Her death date is 10,186. Question mark? Is that the day she died? We really don't know.
I didn't even see the question mark. Woo!
Yeah,
that's crazy.
There. And we know that the current year is 10,191. So this is the year that Yueh dies. So that's we know that's going to happen.
Sorry, I stood up for our YouTube viewers. My baby was crying, so I had to close the door. It's fine. It's fine.
There's somebody else with the baby, I assume. Yes. She's not just downstairs by herself.
No, she's just in the living room by herself. 1-year-old.
No, she needs some adult friends.
She needs guides.
Yeah, she needs guides.
There's a couple of 30-year-old dudes hanging out downstairs. No, okay, let's get back to the book again.
All right, back to the book. All right. So that's what we know from this, right? He's chiefly noted as betrayer of Duke Leto Atreides. That is like his title after death. He is known as the betrayer.
Yeah. So
we're going to kind of examine, does he think he's the betrayer? What is happening in this? Does he quite know? He has an idea of what's about to happen.
Right.
So
wait, how do you know it's what year it is? I don't remember seeing a year.
In the very beginning, that's like the first quote in the book. It says what the year is.
Nuh-uh.
Not that any of those numbers meant anything to us back then, but I mean, I
Okay.
think I talked about like
I'll
how
trust you.
time worked and before guild and after guild, and it's very confusing at the beginning. There's a lot to get through.
Right.
All right, so our setting is we're still here on Caladan.
Right.
After his training with Thufir and Gurney. So it's Dr. Yueh enters the room and Paul is stretched out face down on an exercise table with the masseuse. He's getting a massage.
Cool.
Right? He was feeling deliciously relaxed.
Deliciously.
After the workout with Gurney Halleck. I mean, come on, we all want to get there one day. Deliciously relaxed. You do look comfortable, said Yueh in his calm, high-pitched voice. Paul raised his head, saw the man's stick figure standing several paces away, took in at glance the wrinkled black clothing, the square block of a head with purple lips and a drooping mustache and a diamond tattoo of imperial conditioning on his forehead, the long black hair caught in a Suk school silver ring and at his left shoulder. So we got purple lips, drooping mustache, diamond tattoo.
Right. Okay. Here's another weird picturing that happened in my head. I read the phrase where it says in his calm, high-pitched voice, but I still pictured him as who's the guy that plays Sulu in the old Star Trek movies?
Oh, yes. Oh, come on, my nerd. All of our nerd fandom here is freaking out. It's
Now I got to Google it. It's going to drive me crazy.
He's famous on the internet. Takei, George Takei.
George Takei, yeah. George Takei, yeah.
I didn't look that up, folks. That was all deep inside my brain.
That's who I pictured as this man.
My Mentat processing was going crazy, and I found that one out.
Yeah. So for the audience who is keeping up with how I'm picturing all of these characters, that's who I pictured Dr. Yueh as.
I love it. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a great casting call.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Dr. Yueh is from the Suk school, right? He is their doctor for the Atreides. So I just want to get into what the Suk school is. Because you have all houses and Mentats and Bene Gesserits and all these things have big backgrounds. So the Suk school and the Imperial conditioning, what those are. So after a assassin attack on one of the kings or the emperors, they decided to form this school that would have a conditioning not to hurt the people they serve.
Okay.
So they have this imperial conditioning. So from the ages from when they start the school to 12, they're conditioned, kind of like the Bene Gesserit are, kind of to delay gratification. So they won't be tempted or swayed anyway. And then they start their medical training after that. In the Dune Encyclopedia, it says that the imperial conditioning, what's also saying that they are to almost praise the people that they work for or worship. They adore these people. They look up to them in a certain way. So another layer of I will not hurt this person.
Right.
So there's a lot that Yueh has to undergo to switch on his imperial conditioning.
Gotcha.
Fun fact, in the Dune Encyclopedia, the imperial conditioning never actually worked. There was no proof that it could stop anybody, and Yueh kind of showed that. It's just no one betrayed anybody for 1,000 years. So they did it. Wow,
that's crazy.
At least in the medical range,
right?
So the tattoo, once you get past the imperial conditioning, it says, it's their 4 points of the diamond represent the 4 tenets of the Suk School of Medicine, which I will practice healing, I will prolong life, I will seek knowledge, and I will give loyalty. So it's kind of their thing. And each of these had a imprinted biological little thing in them so that nobody could counterfeit them.
Gotcha.
Which is important because a race of people, I guess they're humans. They can, like the B'nai Gesserit, can replicate things with their voice or make their voice do certain things, or they can move or like work through their own body and genetic code to not become pregnant or to do all these things, right? There's another, you think I'm doing dance and they can like, do the thing with their mind and their body, Well, there are these race of people that are called face dancers, which can transform like a shapeshift into anybody, and they can like mask themselves as that person. So
yes.
The diamond there was to make sure that you don't have a face dancer in your presence.
Gotcha.
It's like they can scan it and be like, okay, no, you're a real person. You're not a human pretending to be you. So yes, face dancers. They will come up later in this chapter.
Okay.
It's really sad. We'll keep going. So then he talks to Paul, and they kind of want to go over some last lessons before they go to Arrakis. Of course, Yueh would be the guy to be like, do your homework.
Right.
Which, I mean, he's praised as being really smart, having a good heart, but he still ends up betraying everybody. So, yeah. And you see it here in Yueh's thoughts where it's like, he was thinking, oh, how this boy has filled out in these past few months. Such a waste, such a sad waste. He reminded himself, I must not falter. What I do is to be done, a certain Mywana no longer can be hurt by the Harkonnen beasts. Right? So he's thinking like, oh man, this would have been a lot of fun. And this guy, like, Paul's going to be great. It's going to suck. He's going to have to die.
Right. But does that line imply that he knows that she's actually alive?
That's the thing we don't know. We don't know what he's thinking at the moment. We just know that he's doing this so Wana can no longer be hurt by the Harkonnens. I don't know what he means by that. We'll get to that. Oh yeah, we'll move on there. So first, what are they studying? It's studying the tyrannic life of Arrakis. The planet seems to have opened its arms to certain tyrannic life forms. It's not clear how. I must seek out how the planetary ecologists when we arrive, Dr. Kynes, and offer my help in the investigation. Then Yueh thought, what am I saying? I play the hypocrite even with myself. Just whining over here. But I really think
so emo.
Yes, he is. He's caught in something. So they're talking about sandworms here, because sandworms are like the life form on the planet. And,
right,
if Dr. Yueh wasn't going to betray everybody, I'm sure he would want to seek out Dr. Kynes to like, hey, let's learn more about the planet, because he's probably a giant nerd like that, because being a doctor. And that's the first time we hear about the planetary ecologist, Dr. Kynes, and he'll pop back up too. Which is good. We're just foreshadowing a bunch here. What's going to happen?
Yeah. Paul is saying like he wants to talk about the Fremen. Like he's really interested in the Fremen specifically. Right?
Yes. So, yeah, Paul's obsessed with knowing about the Fremen. He's got this thing in him that like he wants to know more and more about them. And so Yueh, like, when Paul asked, hey, do you have pictures of them? They talk, and Yueh says, I'll see what I can get you. But the most interesting feature, of course, is their eyes, totally blue, no whites in them. So we can like think back to Paul's vision where he saw the person with all blue eyes.
Right. And we've been talking about the all blue eyes for the past few chapters. Like it's come up several times.
Right. So Paul wants to say, is it a mutation? No, it's linked to the saturation of the blood with the melange, with the spice.
Okay. That's what melange is?
Yeah, the spice melange.
Okay.
And then Paul's like sidetrack next thing, like the Fremen must be brave to live out on the edge of the desert. So he's like, they're denoting there's two different types of Fremen. There's then the city folk, and then there is the like deep Fremen who live in the desert.
Right.
So yeah, Yueh says polish comes from the city, but wisdom comes from the desert.
Yeah, that was that was really cool cool phrase. Good juice, if you will, that I got something out of. But it's cool, you know? Polish comes from the cities, wisdom from the desert. Something about that. We could talk about that for a while, but we're not going to. We're going to keep talking about Dune.
No, I'm interested about what you think about what does the wisdom from the desert mean for you?
Well, I mean, there's just something about, I guess we are going to talk about it. Suffering that creates, like, the experiencing suffering gives you that bigger and better understanding of life and just the deeper things in life. I don't know if I'm making any sense at all, but there's this band that I listen to and they have a lyric that's, I think we're all lost till we've walked in the wilderness. And it's like, you don't really know what you're doing or what's going on in life until you've experienced some kind of like desolation and suffering. And there's something cool about that. You know, wisdom coming from the desert and polish comes from the cities is like, I don't know, it seems kind of vain, but it also could be a good thing. You know, if you have both wisdom and polish, you can do a whole lot. So like, I don't know if it's supposed to be a good thing, but I could see it being a good thing, you know, like being polished, being kind of...
To be political, you definitely have to be polished.
Right.
And I think it's, one of the things you need to kind of rule. And I think Paul is seeing that, like, with the Fremen, I'm going to need every facet of their society, you know, if we're going to survive.
Right. And that was what the Reverend Mother, I think, was talking to him about, you know, becoming the leader that he needs to become. It's going to take both wisdom and polish. And it sounds like he has polish out the wazoo. Like he's just been,
that's
like,
always known.
Right. Exactly. So he needs to get, you know, hardened a little bit by Arrakis so that he can have a good balance of both and maybe get through whatever is about to happen, you know?
I mean, that's what we're setting up as the best bet for him. So I think it might happen, but that's spoilers. I don't want to say anything.
Okay. Again, listeners, I have no idea what's about to happen in this book. I have zero context. Literally, all I knew was that there was sand and sandworms. That's it. So Caleb is trying really hard not to spoil things for me here.
There's so many things, but I'm glad we can kind of walk through this. I wish somebody could walk me through all this. This is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing to talk about, I guess here's the worms. And they say, I have a film book on the specimen, only 110 meters long and 22 meters in diameter.
Yeah, that was him saying, he said a small specimen. I have a film book on a small specimen, only 110 meters long, which is hella long, fam. Like, that's really big, dude.
That's a small one.
Right.
And it says worms here. It says
go ahead.
Worms here can be more than 400 meters in length. And there's reason to believe
that even larger ones exist. That's crazy.
Yeah. So these are these gigantic life forms on this planet. This is going to be nuts. So there's a desert belt, southern polar regions, which are inhabitable. Is there worms? Yes.
Uninhabitable.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
No one's gone down there. They can't see it. And then you have the storms. And then Paul says, but any place can be made habitable. And then Yueh, it's economically feasible. Arrakis has many costly perils.
Right. So basically technology at this point has gotten to where they're like, you can make basically anything inhabitable if it's worth the money. Like if you have enough money and it's like worth doing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
But that kind of puts into Paul's mind, like he has this idea of like, no, like anything is possible. We can make this planet habitable. So it's already just like it's one of his like duh moments. Like, of course we can change this. Nothing has to be this way forever. So, I mean, I think we can kind of see the beginning of Paul's like thinkings and how that will be used to his benefit. All right. So the next thing I have on the list here as we go down, yes, listeners, I make a list, is the Orange Catholic Bible.
Yeah. What's that?
All right.
I have a lot of context for what like a Catholic Bible is or what a Bible is, but this seems different.
And you probably know what an orange is. But all that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
I'm familiar with oranges.
And tangerines, if you must know. All right. So Yueh gives Paul his Bible, his Orange Catholic Bible.
Yeah.
So it's like this printed on a filament paper, and if you like touch it in a certain way, it opens, and there's like a magnifying glass, super cool science fiction-y stuff.
Yeah.
But this moment is big for Paul. This kind of like, he talks about moments of terrible purpose again when reading this, like this kind of infects him. This idea of religion and using it to see the world around you. So the Orange Catholic Bible was started after the guild had formed, and they wanted to make space travel a thing again between all these worlds. And so in order to kind of build on their monopoly, they decided that the time has come to put all of the religions kind of together. So them and the Bene Gesserit kind of led this coalition to bring all the leaders of all these religions into a room, even though they've like fought wars with each other, and say, okay, what's going to happen? So they have an ecumenical council, and they had two major things that popped up. The realization that all religions had at least one common commandment, which is thou shalt not disfigure the soul. So don't do something to make you not human. And then the commission of the ecumenical translators said, thou shalt not disfigure the soul, but who's to decide where modification ends and disfigurement begins?
Jeez.
Because again, they just fought this giant like artificial intelligence war. And so it's like, where does modification stop? Where does enhancement stop? And now you've become something else, not human, which is going to be interesting because I think at least two of the, I don't want to call them alien because they're not, they're human. Their human races are no longer humanoid-ish. Like the face dancers aren't quite human. They have human DNA, but there's like another entity.
Yeah, there's something else going on there.
And the guild is also, when they fly these things, they have to be immersed in the spice that has evolved them in a certain way. It's gross. So yeah, that's our Orange Catholic Bible. It's just the amalgamation of all these religions put together. I read in the Dune Encyclopedia that some books of the Bible made it through all the way unscathed. Job being one of them. They're like, yeah, for some reason, nothing in Job changed. They're like, yep, this is about right. So if you know the story in Job in the Bible, he just suffers endlessly.
Yeah, I mean, wisdom from the desert, right?
And in the end, God says, who are you? Who do you think you are? And Job's like, yep, you're right.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, that was an interesting little tidbit there, Frank, to put in the encyclopedia. Oh, yeah, okay.
I mean, it makes sense. Some weird stuff happens with Yueh and this Bible, though, right? Like when he gives it to Paul and...
Yeah. So it's got these, like, again, it's still, there's these two markers on it. And so he hits the first marker. And you have that quote pulled up right there of what he reads?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Yueh says, indulge an old man's whim. Yueh says, it's given to me when I was very young. And he thought, I must catch his mind as well as his cupidity. I don't know what cupidity is.
Right. Then, so, do you want me to read like the quote that he reads out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. So Paul felt the cover. He found two notches and one was shallower than the other. So he pressed the shallower one and it opened up, and Yueh tells him to read it out loud. And he says, think you of the fact that a deaf person cannot hear? Then what deafness may we not all possess? What senses do we lack that we cannot see and cannot hear another world all around us? what is there around us that we cannot stop it? Yueh barked. Like, he's like, he proper freaks out.
And he's been pretty calm this whole time. This is his first big like freak out moment.
Right.
Yeah. And then Yueh closed his eyes, fought to regain composure. What perversity caused the book to open up at my Juana's favorite passage? He opened his eyes, saw Paul staring at him. Is something wrong? Paul asked. So yeah, there's the quote here. Think you of the fact that a deaf person cannot hear, then what deafness may we not all possess? So there's this idea that they're, in a little bit, we are unaware. And what would happen if we were to be aware?
Right.
What's
going on out there that we just can't sense, that we can't see, taste, touch, hear? That's cool.
Yeah. What's the next thing? And those of you who are reading the book right now or have already read the book are freaking out about this, I'm trying to keep my composure and not say anything because Evan's not reading it. Okay.
I'm not ready. Continue. I have no idea. No idea.
Yeah. I like highlight things specifically because they will be like big points later on just for you.
All right. I'm going to highlight that part because now I know that it's something, something important. So,
and if you all don't know what I'm talking about, we'll keep following along. We'll get there eventually. Yueh says, I'm sorry, that was my dead wife's favorite passage. It's not the one I intended you to read. It brings up memories that are painful. So yeah, then Yueh says, yeah, you may find this interesting. It's got a good historical truth as well as ethical philosophy. Paul looked down at the tiny book in his palm. Such a small thing, yet it contained a mystery. Something that happened when he read it. He felt something stir in his terrible purpose. So I want to go, there's one like really big deep dive right before we finish that I want to kind of talk about.
Okay.
And you're seeing from right now there's Juana, his dead wife, and Yueh, and that's kind of the reason he wants to save her from the Harkonnens. Right? And that's why he has been selected maybe to do this betrayal. Like, so my question is why did Piter choose Yueh for this? So the twisted mentat has his devious ways. So we're gonna look back into his wife was a Bene Gesserit, and she was a loyal Bene Gesserit. So we're gonna see the comparison between, say, Jessica and Juana, who have done two different things. They're both like kind of married, but when the Bene Gesserit send Juana to a mission to Giedi Prime to the Harkonnens, she goes because that's her duty to the Bene Gesserit, and it's kind of well known. If you go to Giedi Prime, odds are you don't come back. Yikes. So she was missing for 3 years, and then they finally like accepted that she had passed away. They held a funeral on Caladan. Kind of life kind of moved on. And with the Imperial conditioning, it's known that with the Suk doctors, they can kind of deteriorate towards the end of their life. Like they can kind of go kind of crazy.
Huh.
And one of the kind of things that is a tell is a depression starts to like sink on them.
Yeah.
And losing your wife would kind of put you in a depressed mood.
A little bit,
kind of hardcore. And so I think that's where Piter saw his moment to like get a hook in.
Right.
So 4 months before this moment here, the records in the Dune Encyclopedia say that Yueh had left the castle and went into the villages, and a ship came down from the guild holding Harkonnen men and a Bene Gesserit woman.
Mm-hmm.
So the speculation is that Yueh saw Juana that day and said, oh my gosh, you're alive. And that's when the deal was struck.
Gotcha.
When this trade happens, you will do this for us and we will give you your wife back.
Jeez.
Now, there are but other reports say that the classification of Bene Gesserit is wrong, and it was actually a face dancer.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's somebody who thinks it's his wife. And right, so you've got this guy deteriorating, it's only going downhill from there. So
right. And there's like no way to know who to trust and what is real and what's not with all these people with like crazy powers and stuff. There's no way of knowing what's real.
Yes. And so there's the history gives there's 3 possible reasons of why Yueh did this. So the first one is madness, right? He was so depressed and he wanted to soothe his soul. Is Juana dead or is she not? I don't know. And the only way I'll finally be able to rest is if I do this. And if she's dead, and I'll be fine. If she's alive, then I'll have her. But I need to know for certain, is she dead or is she alive?
That's fair.
Right. The second one is incompetence. He's a fool. And he doesn't want anything to happen to Juana. So, of course, he just rushes after her.
Yeah.
And the third one is love. So it is love for Juana versus his love for the Duke. So he's not acting straight as a fool or straight as a madman. He loves both his Duke and both his wife, but he only has to pick one in this fiasco. And he figures Duke Leto's probably already dead in this scenario. I might as well choose my wife and try to see if I can get some end out of this.
Jeez.
Yeah, man, it's rough. But Yueh is definitely our Judas character.
Right.
Definitely after the fact labeled a betrayer. He is the betrayer. Everyone look for what he's going to do. And you almost kind of need that character in this story. You need that like, I need to place the blame on this guy.
Right. Yeah. Even though like you could speculate forever on why he did whatever he does, which is like the same thing with Judas. Like people have been for literally thousands of years trying to figure out, why did he do that? Like, what was it? This was it? That was people are like, he was possessed by a demon. He was, like there's all these different explanations as to why Judas did what he did. And so like, I guess it's the same thing here. Like people are just going to be speculating forever as to why he did what he did.
And yeah, we'll never really know. We'll just but Frank Rivers gives us like the insight into his head.
Right.
But yeah, we don't really, why did he do what he did? He seemed like a nice guy, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how this thing plays out. Fighter's plan is definitely in motion and has been in motion for a while.
Yeah.
With this happening 4 months before, seeing this face dancer wife. There's no way she's really alive. Like the Harkonnens would have killed her right off, set up this big plan, mess with his head.
Right.
Is there anything else you want to add before I end this with this last little quote?
Yes. What I was thinking about this whole time during this chapter is like the other chapters with Paul, he was kind of 2 steps ahead of everybody as they were talking to him, like his training that he got from his mother was kind of like he could sense this in their voice. He could see that when they said that they meant this, or they wanted him to feel X, Y, Z, that kind of thing. But in this chapter, it's all Yueh's thoughts. So we don't get any understanding of like what like vibe Paul is catching from Yueh in this whole situation, which is probably a lot because he's being like real squirrely and he like screams at his wife's, Bible verse, and there's like weird stuff going on and he doesn't seem to be a very subtle person. So, I'm just wondering like, what's Paul thinking during all of this? You know what I mean?
Right. Has he picked up on the shadiness that's happening.
Right, because he's super smart. Paul is super smart, and he's like able to see behind the curtain when people are talking to him. So is he just like sitting there like, this dude is about to murder us? Like he's about to do some crazy stuff. Obviously, he's being super sketchy. You know, like
he handed me his like most valuable possession and said, "Take care."
It's weird. Weird vibes. And Paul's too smart not to catch on to the weird vibes, I think.
Yeah. I think we should see if Jessica and Paul catch what's going on. I mean, and like Thufir's looking for the betrayer. He's looking for traps constantly. What's going to be the...
Right.
Who's going to be the bad guy?
Right.
Yeah, luckily we have the quotes to tell us right off the bat who's the betrayer. So good for us.
Which is almost worse than, like knowing what's going to happen. Anyway.
So yeah, it's the last thought. You want to read his last thought here?
Yeah. And he thought, why do I stand here torturing myself and torturing this poor lad, though he doesn't know it? I don't know how to make that sound. Oi!
Yeah, I got you. You got it. Oi.
Oi. Kind of like Jewish vibes. Oi. Damn those Harkonnen beasts. Why did they choose me for their abomination? Abomination.
Yeah, why did they choose you, Yueh? Probably because you were the easiest.
Right. But abomination, that makes it.
Yeah, he's not gonna be happy with what's about to happen.
Yikes. Okay.
But Yueh, like everyone else, has a plan.
Yeah.
Plan within plans. We're about to see what's gonna happen. Well, fellow Dune readers, if you want to hit us up on Twitter, we're just at that Reading Dune. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah. I think we have like one person following us besides myself. And I'm excited about that. Thank you very much.
Is it me or is it?
I don't even think you follow us.
I'll have to remedy that. I'm so sorry. I'm not pulling my weight around here.
It's okay. It's all good. We got one subscriber on YouTube. We're also on YouTube, just Reading Dune, where you can watch our silliness as well as listen to it. That's how videos work. And yes, we will. We're back to that part again. How do I?
We will read you later.
Bless you and bless the maker. All right, there we go. You don't know what that means yet, but we're going to get there.
All right. Let's get there. Bless the maker
and his coming and his goings and your comings and your goings. All right, that didn't work either. I'm going to end this.
We'll figure it out, man. Don't worry about it. Just say bye.
Bye. On the end of everything, it's going to be our random conversation right when we start.
Perfect.
It's a thing I've just decided. So if you listen all the way to the end, this is for you.
Can you hear my beard?
No.
Oh, that's
wait. Okay. I don't know. Maybe our audience can when I put it in editing.
Gross. Are we gone? Or you're still gonna do the quote?
No, I'm gonna do the quote right now.
Okay.
All right.